Welcome, my name's Alex, and this is a video tutorial on how to properly introduce dogs through pregnancy stages to toddler. Now, the dogs we're using for the demo is Penny, the Hound Mix, and Charlie, Siberian Husky. What I want to address before that we go into the proper introductions of having a dog throughout pregnancy is if you're gonna keep your dog outside or you're gonna crate them, you need to do it before the child comes so the dog doesn't associate them with negative. You want to make sure that everything is the same but in a proper transition for the dog. Now we're gonna do a demo of how to properly introduce the dog to the baby. The dog's nose is incredible and it can smell the baby from a mile away. It's perfectly fine, you do not need to put the baby in the dog's face. But what we need to make sure is that it's a positive introduction. You wanna make sure that the dog is calm and that the baby is in a safe area, and you want somebody else with you to have the dog's attention, yet still introducing them to the baby. Charlie here is obviously can see the baby and can smell the baby, but we're giving him treats when he shows calm, assertive energy. Now I'm going to discuss the toddler years with dog and child relationships. These are the most critical years because toddlers are still learning, they're still looking at their environment, and they have no sense of right and wrong with dogs. And dogs are always going to push their limits to what they can and can't do from the child. You want to make the toddler the pack leader, as we'd say. We don't want to put them as the same totem pole as the dog. We want to make sure that they are the leader of the dog instead of the dog kind of overriding them. We want to associate positive energy throughout the whole time, but calm. So maybe taking the dogs on walks and then making the toddler give the dog water afterwards as a reward. So then the dog can associate, this is a pack leader to me and they are giving me something that I need in return. Now just remember that these are the dangerous years between a toddler and a dog, and that there always needs to be adult supervision. Toddlers love to grab dogs' ears and sit on them, and a lot of dogs are comfortable with it, especially if they've been raised properly and they are calm. But others don't like to be touched that way, and others don't react in the same way. And just to prevent a bite from happening and you're in that terrible situation to where you're choosing the child and the dog, just make sure there's always supervision and that your toddler understands that we can't touch the dog in wrong ways, and that would make them bite. Now, in conclusion, I just want to go over everything that I've talked about in this demo. The number one thing is to always keep a positive energy towards the dogs because they are your family, and just because you're bringing somebody else in shouldn't alter their behaviors, but you need to make sure that you have everything ready and you have their basic obedience done and you're exercising them and you're making everything in a calm transition and it's not a culture shock to them. And you also need to make sure that the toddlers are the pack leaders and that they go to the dog in a respectful manner that will prevent a bite, but they also don't want to be overridden by the dog, and make sure that the dog knows that they are in charge and give them rewards. Make sure the toddler feeds them, or when you walk them, gives them water. And make sure that you always have help because you can't do this by yourself. You always need adult supervision with the children, but you also is really helpful to have another adult in the situation to give attention to the dog while you're holding the baby and you're playing with the kids, or walking the dog while you're also walking the toddler, and having teamwork put together so that the dog doesn't feel isolated or excluded because they are your family members. And as long as you do all these steps and you trust your dog and you know your dog, you should not have any problems.